Hi guys, and welcome to Freckle Finance. Today I'm doing a video on 10 tips to lower your budget or to get your budget in control better. I just did 2 previous videos that talk about budgeting, where your budget is and kind of where it should be, and this will help hopefully get it in line if your budget's not in line. Many of you may have realized that your budget just isn't working and you're in the negative on your budget. You spend more money than you make. The biggest significance you can make to your budget is moving to a cheaper place, whether that be rent or a house. However, that's a very difficult transition both emotionally and financially often to do, and I'm going to give you 10 tips on how to do that, do smaller things that will help with your budget. The first item is one of the most important in my opinion, aside from lowering your housing costs, which is be conscious of what you're buying. Do you need to buy what you're buying right now? If you're at the store and you're shopping for pants, think about it. Do you have pants in your closet right now that you like, that you just haven't worn yet because you have enough pants? If that's the case, you need to not buy the pants. You can put that money that you were going to spend on those pants to a better use. And this is going to become something that you will do with all items. Everything that you buy, you should be thinking about, do I need this or is this a want? And if it's a want, do I really want to sacrifice other areas of my budget to buy this? The number 2 thing is cutting your cable. Now, cable can be really expensive, and we have so many resources where we can find all these television shows, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them elsewhere. There's Netflix. I personally watch TV shows on the channels, on the TV stations' websites. It's usually just their popular ones, but I don't need to get that picky with my TV shows. As well, there's also YouTube. YouTube is a great place to watch TV shows. There are actual TV shows posted on YouTube, as well as you can watch tons of other content like financial videos. As well, another thing you can buy is an interior antenna. Now this is something that we have here. We paid about $45 for it about 3 years ago. I think we get about 13 channels. And we get like global CTV and kind of the big channels and some other local channels. However, do your research before you buy, because not all areas of Canada will have good reception, and it really depends. But you should be able to find online kind of what channels you can get and see if you think it's worth it. But this is a one-time fee. We've never spent any more money on this. It still works to this day. I wanted to show you guys what our antenna looks like. This is what it is. Here you'll see the 2 antennas on the top, and there's a piece that plugs into the TV and then a piece that plugs into the power outlet. It's very simple to install. It's not complicated at all. So don't be worried about thinking it's going to be some big hassle to install it, because it's definitely not. The third thing you can do to try to cut your budget is to check how much you're spending on your cell phone and your internet bill and see if you can lower that. A lot of times the big 3 companies, Rogers, TELUS, and Bell, if you're using them, you can probably get a lower payment on it. This really also does depend on where you live in Canada. Sometimes you don't have a choice, that's the only option you have, but if you have another option, you want to look at it. But you really want to do your research, because they have different price ranges at different times of the year. They have sales and stuff like that, so I can't give you like this company is always the cheapest or whatever. You really need to look at it. You also want to make sure that you're not signing up for a plan that has a 3 to 6 month promotional pay period, because usually afterwards it's a lot more money and it's probably a ripoff in the long run. You want to find something that is cheaper overall for the whole time period. So do not fall for the promotional periods. They're usually not better. And especially for cell phones, you want to look, you can usually pull up on the websites for the cell phone company sites where they have reception, and maybe do a little bit of research online. You do want to make sure if you're signing up for a cell phone company that the main areas that you go to do have cell phone receptions. However, some companies have roaming charges that they charge you, and it's not really that much money. So if you almost never go out of the area where you have reception, it may only add a buck or 2 more to your bill every month. And honestly, it's probably still a lot cheaper than getting a plan where you have reception there full time. The 4th thing to do to cut your budget is to not eat out or reduce the number of eating out that you do. Now I know sometimes you come home from work, you're tired, or you're just not having a very good day and you want to go out to eat. Now these really could creep up on your budget, and really eating out costs a lot of money over a month if you do it often enough, or even over a year can cost a ton of money. So what you want to do is you want to plan ahead a bit. You want to have some meals ready for yourself that if you're feeling like that day, you can maybe pull it out of the freezer and you don't really have to do much. As well as look online for some quick recipes. They're easy search. Just search quick, blah, 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 whatever the type of food you're kind of feeling that you have in your fridge, and that should be able to get you quick options. The fifth point, which is very similar to the fourth point, is to food plan. Now, you want to make sure that you're planning your food. If you plan ahead, you should only go to the grocery store once, because the more often you go to the grocery store, the more likely you're going to buy stuff that you're not going to use, and you're going to have more food go bad. And you don't want to do that. That's a waste of your money. You want to eat what you buy. So you want to, before you go in the grocery store, know what you're buying and eating that week. Now, when you're making the food plan, you want to kind of see if you can add some bulk items together. You know, if you're going to eat potatoes, but make them different ways. You don't want to get bored with your food, but if you have a lot of chicken breasts in the recipe, buy a lot of chicken breasts, but make sure that the recipes are different just so you don't get bored, which will often cause you to want to go out to eat because you're just so sick of eating the same food all the time. As well as when looking at recipes, when you're deciding what you want a food plan for the week, if it has an item that you're really never going to use, if you can't find a replacement for it in your house for something that you already have or something that you can buy that you will use a lot, don't make the recipe. You're just going to buy this $5 item. You think it's only $5, but that's $5 you wasted because you're probably going to use it once and it's going to go bad. I do, however, want to make a point that the aim is not to spend the absolute least amount you can on your groceries. Your health is important. You want to make sure you're getting your fruit and veggies, and you want to make sure that you're eating nutritiously, but the aim would be to get as nutritious, well, food that you like for as little as you can, which would be the frugal option, not the cheap option. The sixth point would be evaluating how often you really need to use your car. If you have a grocery store nearby, or you have things that you can really just kind of walk or bike to, or maybe even take public transit depending on how much gas or parking is going to cost, you want to take that into consideration and see maybe you don't even need your second car, or maybe you can save on some gas money by walking someplace, and that can really add up over time. The seventh way to cut your budget is to cut your gym membership. These can be really expensive. I remember when I had a gym membership, it was like $60 a month, and that was with no extra amenities or anything. And that was at one of the cheaper gyms. And really, you can do all these physical activities outside of the gym. There's tons. You can walk, bike, hike, swim. There's tons of stuff you can do outside of the gym. You can buy a set of weights. If you want, you can invest a little bit of money to have some stuff at home that will, in the long run, be a lot cheaper than going to the gym. And also, it's close by, and you're not going to be able to be as lazy about getting your workout in. If you're a coffee drinker and you go out and you buy your coffee every day, this is probably something you should stop doing. Now, I'm not saying you can't go out and buy a coffee as a treat, because everyone's allowed to have a treat now and then. But buying one coffee every day for one person can be up to $50 or more a month, depending on how fancy your coffee is, where you're buying it, what size and everything. But $50 is a pretty good amount that people probably spend a month on their coffee. If you're really passionate about coffee and you insist you have to drink good coffee, I recommend investing in the equipment yourself and buying good quality coffee beans. It'll be so much cheaper in the long run that it'll be worth it. The ninth point that'll help you cut your budget is vacations. Now, if you're in debt, or if you have more spending than you do have income, you probably shouldn't be going on vacation this year, and I would recommend that you don't. But that doesn't mean you can't do anything fun. There's tons of activities you can do for free. There's festivals, there's museums, you can go swimming, which would, if you have lakes or ponds or whatever you want to swim in nearby, you can just go outside, enjoy a bike ride, a hike, anything. There's tons of things you can do, and you want to check your local area, because many times cities will have festivals and stuff that they'll post about online, or you can read in the newspaper or an online newspaper, and you can see what is available for you to go to. You will be surprised at what you can find in your neighborhood or city that you never even knew was there. It might feel like a whole new city for you. If you do have the little bit of room, you know, maybe you want to go away for a weekend locally instead of going somewhere where you have to fly. There's many options. You can go camping, or maybe just away at a inexpensive bed and breakfast, go away to a town that's not a typical place. You can go away, but you're probably not going to go on that big expensive budget. Now, if you have it in the budget, or you make enough money and you do need to budget for the vacation. Do not put your vacation on the credit card. And the last and final point is to have inexpensive hobbies. Now, if you have expensive hobbies and you already have the equipment for it and you don't have to buy anything else for it, then fine, keep it up. But if you have a hobby that you keep having to spend all this money every month, consider some cheaper hobbies, biking, tennis. There's lots of hobbies that you can do that are a lot cheaper. The main thing about cheap hobbies is they can still become very inexpensive hobbies if you get caught up in all the proper clothing and stuff like that. You know, if you want to get into biking, You can buy a good bike that'll last a while and a helmet. You don't need all the fancy clothes. You don't need to join those fancy clubs that you have to pay money for and go on these weekend biking getaways. You can simply just bike with your bike and your helmet. So that was my 10 tips on how to cut your budget. Now this is not an all-inclusive thing. There is probably many other things that you can do, and a lot of them might just be stuff that you specifically spend money on and you realize you don't want to. If you find these topics interesting and informative, please click subscribe, as I will be uploading videos regularly. Have a good day. Bye!